Every movie star and actor you've ever heard of had to start somewhere. That's where auditions come in. No matter how big and famous Robert Downey Jr. or Hugh Jackman have become, they had to start somewhere, and that somewhere was in a casting room. And every once in a while, videos of those auditions make their way out to the public. Here are 10 rare movie auditions that actors don't talk about. Remember, if you want to see more lists like this, subscribe to our channel and make sure to join our notification squad. But before we start, can you guess the name of the movie franchise from these emojis? Stay tuned for the answer at the end of our video, and be sure to keep watching for fun trivia questions and fun facts along the way.
Hey, you know what? There's another name you might know me by. Star-Lord.
Chris Pratt, Guardians of the Galaxy. Just a few years ago, nobody thought Chris Pratt was set to be Hollywood's hottest action star.
I called that. You remember that?
Yeah. He did, actually. He totally called that.
On Parks and Rec, he played the goofy Andy Dwyer. He was charming, sure, but he didn't quite look like Brad Pitt. Sure, he bulked up to play a Navy SEAL in Zero Dark 30, but that was hardly a leading role. Fortunately, Pratt found a kindred spirit and a similar sense of humor in director James Gunn.
Oh, no, that's just an expression for slicing his throat.
I would not slice his throat. I would cut his head clean off.
Okay, yeah, I think you want to cut. You can do that.
Cut his head clean off.
You bet. Hey,
No
buddy,
slicing.
bite it off. I can't wait to see what the point is. Need to keep the girl alive.
The execs at Marvel had faith that Pratt could pull off the wisecracking, smart-alecky role of Star-Lord, leader of a team of misfits known as the Guardians of the Galaxy. You think they made the right choice? Let us know in the comments.
You won't live to regret this.
And it's totally blown away. It would have taken 1,000 ships with more firepower than I've ever seen to do that.
Harrison Ford, Star Wars. Despite appearing as a guest in a few television shows and landing a notable role in George Lucas's American Graffiti, Harrison Ford was working mostly as a carpenter by the mid-1970s. He was in his 30s, and it looked like Hollywood had passed him by. Still, his old friend, George Lucas, brought him in to read lines and help audition actors for the upcoming Star Wars.
I brought you here, now what?
We have to find the rebels. What we're carrying belongs to them.
Their bases are very well hidden, son. All the power of the Empire can't find them. You know where they are?
No, not anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to take you on an impossible chase across the galaxy.
As the story goes, Ford was surprised when Lucas offered him the part, because he didn't even think he was in contention. Tom Hiddleston, Thor. After starring in Thor and the Avengers as Loki, the god of mischief, Tom Hiddleston shot to fame. But he didn't originally audition for that part. No, Hiddleston auditioned for the role of Thor himself. But the creative team saw something else in his performance and asked him to try out for the role of Loki.
You must be truly desperate.
As a classically trained actor, Hiddleston was able to bring a sense of gravitas to the spurned son of Odin, which helped Loki become one of the most memorable characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hugh Jackman, X-Men. When an unknown 31-year-old Australian named Hugh Jackman auditioned for the role of Wolverine in the first X-Men movies, he impressed the producers, but he still didn't get the part. Instead, the role went to the more established Dougray Scott. But when filming started on this superhero epic, Scott backed out due to scheduling conflicts with Mission Impossible 2. The producers brought Jackman back to audition again before finally casting him 3 whole weeks into production. As we all know, Wolverine would go on to become Jackman's signature role, one he played for the final time in this year's Logan.
Ash, when Dallas and Kane are off the ship, I'm senior officer.
Sigourney Weaver, Alien. A month before Alien was set to begin filming in 1978, Ridley Scott had yet to find an actor for the lead role of Ripley. At the time, Sigourney Weaver was working on Broadway and hadn't been in many movies, but Scott and the producers auditioned her on the sets, which had already been built for the production.
Action. Parker, what's happening down there?
Fortunately, they loved her performance and believed that at 6'1", she was physically imposing enough to face off against H.R. Geiger's famous Alien models. The movie launched Sigourney Weaver to fame and also led to 7 prequels, spin-offs, and sequels, including this summer's Alien Covenant.
Say, man, you got a joint?
No, you want?
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Matthew McConaughey, Dazed and Confused. Unlike most of the pre-fame cast of Dazed and Confused, Matthew McConaughey was a true Texas boy. He was asked to audition after a chance encounter with a casting director in an Austin bar, and knocked it out of the park with his now infamous audition. Not bad for someone who had only previously acted in a music video and a beer commercial.
That's what I love about these high school girls, man. I get older, they stay the same age.
I am Iron Man.
Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. It might be hard to believe now, but Robert Downey Jr.'s career was not in good shape in 2006. Studio execs were hesitant to cast him after his legal troubles in the 90s, and worries that he hadn't fully overcome his issues with substance abuse. But that all changed with his audition for Iron Man. Thanks to the suggestion of his co-star Terrence Howard, Downey was brought in for an audition, and he knocked it out of the park.
Well, listen, Ms. Brown. It's an imperfect world, but it's the only one we've got.
What do you think the Marvel Cinematic Universe would look like without Robert Downey Jr.? Let us know in the comments. Natalie Portman, Leon the Professional. We all know Natalie Portman for her roles in blockbusters like Thor and the Star Wars prequels, or Oscar contenders like Jackie or Black Swan. But her career really started with an audition for the 90s action thriller Leon the Professional, where she impressed director Luc Besson with her precocious charm and naturalism.
My sister, she wanted to lose weight anyway. I bet she never looked so good. Wasn't even my sister, really. Just a half-sister.
In the film, Portman plays an orphan who is taken under the wing by a socially awkward professional hitman. Obviously, it would take a skilled actress to make an assassin seem relatable, and Portman pulled it off, even though she was only 13 at the time. Henry Cavill, Superman Flyby. In 2013, Henry Cavill starred as the last son of Krypton in Zack Snyder's enormous and epic Man of Steel. But that wasn't his first encounter with the role. Back in the early 2000s, J.J. Abrams was set to direct a Superman reboot called Superman Flyby. Cavill auditioned for the role, and even tried on the rather unique suit. Brandon Routh also auditioned for the role, and when Warner Brothers decided to go with Bryan Singer's Superman Returns project, Routh was brought on for that movie, while Cavill had to wait another 7 years for the chance to play old Kal-El in Man of Steel. Daisy Ridley, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Speaking of J.J. Abrams, he was also responsible for bringing us the fresh-faced cast of Star Wars: The Force Awakens. During the auditions, an unknown actress named Daisy Ridley was asked to act out the emotional torture scene between Rey and Kylo Ren.
Get out of my head.
Abrams was blown away, amazed at how Daisy nailed the intensity of that scene without any preparation.
She is strong with the Force, untrained but stronger than she knows.
Even though Ridley only had a few British TV and film credits to her name, Abrams knew he had to give her the part. What do you think? Did he make the right decision? Well, that's our list for the day, but you're probably wondering the answer to our emoji challenge. The answer is Star Wars, one of the most famous movie franchises of all time. Do you think any of these actors were miscast? What do you think the X-Men franchise would have looked like without Hugh Jackman? Sound off in the comments below. That's all for this list, but be sure to subscribe to the Screen Rant channel and sign up for the notification squad.